My name's Chris.
And I'm Kristie.
This is the Washing Up Podcast, and it's Pastry Week.
Indeed.
We all love a good pastry week.
It's got lots of butter, flour.
This was an intriguing pastry week, I thought. They continued...
Ghee.
Oh, so much fucking ghee.
Hot water.
Like, I'm starting to worry about...
Filling.
I'm starting to worry about the people at Big Ghee.
What's that?
Well, it's been all over the series. Like, it's been everywhere. Like, in Australia, obviously, butter is king. Hashtag, you ought to be congratulated. But this series of British Bake Off...
It's ghee.
It's been...
It's ghee, baby,
baby, ghee, baby. So there's been ghee everywhere. They have done a bit of a bake around the world thing.
Which is great. We've been asking for this, so we cannot...
It's been good to see...
Don't complain about it when you get it.
Not complaining about it. I'm just saying it's been interesting. And what I actually found most intriguing, and we'll get to it when we talk about the technical.
Yeah.
But what I found most intriguing about the whole thing was I actually thought that they should have done more on the technical.
How so?
Because it was a really cool technical with lots of really complex things to talk about.
Yeah.
And they sort of just skimmed all of it. Like a little bit of the shoe, a little bit of the rough puff, a little bit of the creme patisserie.
My biggest sadness about the technical is that there was no little, like, nipping across the ditch for Sandy or Noel to go and find out about the history of the Well of Love.
It has been extremely short on trips this year, hasn't it?
There's been no trips. There's been no... And here I am at the place where they made dumpf noodle, or here I am in the place that they invented flour. Like, there's been...
the place they invented flour.
I don't know. I'm not a producer. I'm just an audience person that gets on a microphone and says shit.
Can I just point out, I like the fact that A, you've just described yourself as an audience. I'm just an audience person. And secondly, and far more importantly, the idea that a producer is the only one who knows where flour's from.
Like, they have the time and the impetus to go out and research things now. You and I are essentially...
They can be fucked to do things, basically.
The talent... The fucking audio engineers, the fucking producers, directors, everything of this podcast.
Well, you're the talent.
I don't know.
You are clearly the talent.
With a butt like that, Buchanan.
Thanks for that. Hey, audience. And
hi, Mum.
Hello to my mother who listens. So let's start off with the joke about the tent. In the tent. My favourite line was when Noel's leaning out talking about everyone's in here, you know, they're all cooking, and Prue, those are not sausages.
She's like, I have an irony clause in my contract.
Because she's in the big house. And Noel yells out, wait a minute,
you've got a contract.
It was a good little opening joke, I thought, actually.
It
started off and I'm like, I'm not sure about this. I like it when they get Prue and Paul involved in the opening joke.
Yes, you know.
Like, you know, every year now they're going to do a thing where they've got to work out how to hit Paul in the face with a pie.
Yes.
And they did that beautifully the other week. And then this time they've got them both, not in the tent, obviously, but doing voiceovers off camera about what was going on. And the running jokes tonight too, the other running joke they had, which you've got to be very careful to pick it up, was the jokes about washing Paul's many, many cars.
He has 146 of them.
149 of them.
49, that's
but,
right.
like, the first joke was about the fact that Paul was washing his car, followed by the spray of water coming out of the tent. So that's a little running joke they're going with at the moment. So John started off by suggesting that Pastry is possessed by the devil.
Let's explore that for a moment, shall we?
Go for it, please.
Okay, so first of all, we have to then accept if Pastry is indeed... you know, possessed by the devil, then we have to assume that the Christian worldview and, like, the monotheistic worldview is correct in that there's dualistic, like, God and devil. Now, what intrigues me is why, out of all the things you could, possess in the world, like, he could possess dinosaurs, he could have possessed, like, fucking Trump. Hold on. It's probably happening. He could possess, like, a fucking Ferrari. It's going for pastries. I'm not sure that I really believe that premise.
I mean, look, it's a delicious way to go about it.
I mean,
it's tempting.
If the devil is indeed inhabiting patisseries, then I declare myself a Satanist.
Well, the devil is in the detail, as they often say, and what has more detail than Pastry Week?
true.
Exactly.
You know?
So there we go. The devil is indeed in the detail and is indeed in the pastry. Well done, John. You found the devil. Well done. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you can celebrate that in wherever it is you're... Where's it from?
The devil likes to be laminated and bookended. Book folded, sorry.
I don't know where... Where's John from?
I have no idea. We'll probably find out.
I think it comes up later on. Anyway,
yeah.
So your first challenge was samosas. 6 sweet, 6 savoury.
And I was really happy to see a lot of samosas without peas. That was fantastic.
Yeah, now let's get into that. We'll start, and I put this tweet out there, controversial statement, and it's controversial because...
Peas suck up balls.
It's controversial because you're all fucking wrong if you say that peas are good. Josh, I'm looking at you, saying that minty peas can go to hell, but peas themselves... No. Peas...
hell.
Can fuck off. Right? Can absolutely fuck off. Right? Not a chance. The texture, they're grainy.
The smell of them cooking.
It's no.
When they're mushed up.
Nothing ruins a samosa for me like peas. Especially a sweet one. This chocolate samosa is wonderful. There's a pea.
Peas in it.
But this was interesting. There were some people that did put peas into their samosas and quite obviously did, and there were other people that quite obviously did something else. Let's start with John, because John had a very weird concept. Now,
well, it's coming up to Valentine's Day, and I think a dinner for two in samosa form.
It's what happens in this busy workaday world is that you can't sit down and have a lovely romantic meal with your loved ones. So what you do is you put it in a samosa and you eat it on the run.
Exactly.
You eat your romantic dinner on the run.
What would you cook for us in a samosa form?
What would I cook for us in samosa form?
Oysters Kilpatrick in samosa form.
Well, that's for you. You can have an oysters. You can have an oysters Kilpatrick.
Chorizo.
I'll have something with chorizo. Yeah,
a pasta,
a chorizo. Yeah, a duck
samosa.
I'll have a duck samosa, and you can have your own weird oyster thing.
Kilpatrick.
Yeah,
samosa.
Oyster Kilpatrick samosa. Don't think about making that.
Followed by a chocolate ice cream samosa. That'll work.
That sounds fine by me.
Yeah, you can have
icing sugar on top.
What's
this stuff on top, love? Icing sugar. But the idea that John wooed his wife with chicken pesto.
No, he cooked chicken in basil, and so he made the pesto.
It's still
to represent the basil.
Okay. So chicken and basil doesn't get that much better, really, does it? Is that much better?
What I like to think though is he just went and bought a rotisserie chicken and whacked faulty towers on in the background.
No, I like the idea that it was actually a sub sandwich. Chicken with basil leaves on it.
Went and picked up a couple of McChickens.
Went to Subway. What do you want, chicken? That wasn't what she ordered at all, by the way.
He's gone.
Turns out she's pescatarian. Went really badly.
It's okay. Chicken is fish of the land.
So Ruby went with an authentic samosa, although as she pointed out, two things. One, she felt the cultural pressure of making samosas, and two, and far more importantly, she doesn't eat them.
Yeah. Rubes, don't give in to the cultural pressure.
You do you.
Just do you know.
And her sweet one was orange-infused date and almond.
That sounded delish.
Yeah, it didn't sound too bad. It sounded decently. Now, Rahul. We're going to have a talk about Rahul.
Now?
We'll have to talk about Rahul when we get to the judging.
Okay.
But just to flag it, it's coming. I put a vote up and it's coming.
Yeah.
He used his mum's recipe.
Cool.
His mother had actually made them last night for him.
And I presume if there's anyone that's going to know how to make samosas, be Rahul's mum.
And the sweet one had ricotta in it as to sweeten it up.
Yeah.
And then that was the point where Noel said, I can be your British mother.
Yes. I'll be your mummy, and mummy's very proud of you.
Yes, mummy's very proud of you. I'll be your British mummy. Mummy's very proud of you. Bryony went with beet, spinach and walnut.
Delish.
That was her husband's favourite flavours.
Not my husband's favourite flavours.
No.
Really doesn't
definitely
like beetroot.
And the peanut butter cheesecake. Now, the reason why we'll come back to what happened with that with the judging in a minute, but Sandy gave Bryony such a look.
Uh-huh.
When she's eating that, she's like, oh, I say.
I mean, it was essentially a lesbian prepared to perform fellatio on a piping bag. It was so good.
Peanut butter. Yeah. Now, Manon used her mother's chicken recipe which was usually done in the tureen. And then she also made a tartare.
Inside
in a samosa. And Paul looked at her and went, I don't quite know how that's going to go. That's a bit dry, isn't it? Spoiler alert, it was a bit dry. It's crazy how Paul seems to have known what he's talking about this series. So one thing I will say, Hollywood actually hasn't got much wrong when he's made a prediction this year.
No.
Previous years he has.
Yeah.
This year, if Hollywood's said it, it's kind of happened.
He's just cursing people.
Possibly. Maybe he's sneaking back into the...
He's a human pear.
Maybe he's been sneaking back into the tent, and maybe he's been drying them out.
Yeah.
That's going to be dry. Everyone's distracted by Noel, doing something stupid, and he's running around with hair dryers.
Yep. Just like the paper towel, soaking it up.
Prue going, quick, hurry up, they're coming.
He's got a little siphon straw.
Quick, Noel's losing them.
Look at me, Noel, you are literally just jumping up and down saying, look at me now.
Now, Dan, now if anybody had a bad week ever, I put out there on Twitter that maybe this is the worst week that anyone has ever had in British Bake Off history. It was just one disaster to the next. He just lurched from disaster to disaster.
It was really welcome to the dollhouse watching again tonight.
It really was.
There was nothing redeeming. It was just perpetually depressing. And I just, the high point was his T-shirt when he walked in. It says Trey's Butch.
Looked great.
That was fantastic.
And then it all went downhill from there because he started by trying to cheat. Not cheating as such, but everybody else is hand-rolling their samosa dough because you've kind of got to. No. He's putting it through a pasta roller. And the first thing I said, and I said it to you at the time, I went, he's using a big setting.
Yeah.
Everyone else was rolling their dough fairly thin. And he's got it through this thick setting, but it was ripping and tearing because that's not the way you roll it. So it wasn't going through the right process, so he had to then make a second dough, which didn't help him.
No,
and
too much water.
And we'll come back to the too much water in a moment. He made Stilton and pear, and then he also had caramelised hazelnut in the sweet one. So look, the flavour wasn't too bad.
I love Stilton.
You know what it was?
What?
Pear.
Pear!
Haunted ingredient.
It is cursed.
The cursed ingredient.
Oh, my gosh.
Kim Joy went with paneer, onion, and chili, except it didn't really seem like she was that prepared to commit to the chili.
No, she's got just little snips out.
She's like, I forgot to put more chili in there. Hang on. Snip. I hope that's enough. Nah. And then the apple chai was her other one, which they really liked.
Yeah.
Now, this brings me to one of my favourite things.
Okay.
And by favourite, I mean it's time for me to rant again about the fact they're frying in Bake Off. Now, it is the Great British Bake Off. It is not the Great British Fry Off. And there were many things you could have baked.
Yeah.
Samosa's not one of those. And the frying, I'm okay with it. I just don't want them to get back into the habit of doing this because then we end up with things like pancakes again.
However...
Or chorizos.
However, this is the difficulty level in this, because it's pastry week. This is what we need to put into perspective. It's pastry week. Samosas are a type of pastry. They aren't baked. They're fried pastries. So we can give it a pass this week because it actually fits the brief. It's not yellow.
Well, we could, but... I'm not prepared to. Anyway, Noel, while he was trying to distract everybody in the tent, dropped an egg.
Look at me.
But what I loved about the way he dropped the egg was he dropped the egg and rather than clean it up, he just walked over and put a bowl on it. That's what I would have done.
Yeah.
That's what I have done previously.
That's what you do. I just walk around the house. There's a bowl on
everywhere.
the floor. I just ignore it.
There's bowls everywhere. She knows I've dropped something.
6 to 8 years that have decomposed enough.
Yeah, just break it down. Now Manon's looking at her samosas while they all start to burst, and everyone had John had a couple that burst, and then Manon's looking at hers, and Sandy looks over and goes, "That's a French face you're making, isn't it? That's a French face. British don't make that face. The British don't have that one. That's a French one." Then we got the weird decoration on Kim Joy's.
Just handwritten Pythagoras.
Now, we've all seen the meme that is the confusing theorem flashing in front of a very baffled Julia Roberts.
Yes.
That was where my mind immediately went to. But I don't know if I'd really look at a samosa and go, I really want to eat this samosa now that it's got Pythagoras' theorem written on it.
Oh, some math nerds might.
A squared equals B squared plus C squared.
Oh, God, I'd forgotten that. Now you've reminded me, and now because you've put that back into my head, something important's going to have fallen out. Like, it's been 20 years since I've been in the schooling system, and quite frankly, I thought I'd gotten rid of that. Now,
I was happy. You were happy. They were happy.
They weren't getting me to do maths that needed, like, letters inserted. Like, oh, fucking hell.
All right, so
some of us just aren't. Some of us are born to see letters in books, and then there are other people who see them as, like, things that are useful in mathematics, and that is not me. My brain goes, why isn't this a cool story? Like, why are you saying me A squared plus B squared when I could be reading Jane Austen?
Algebra was one of the only bits of math I actually liked. The main reason I liked algebra was because it's logic, and me. So, Bryony, they said that they looked beautiful.
Yep.
That the pastry for the savoury in particular was absolutely perfect.
Yep.
The texture was really good, but the problem was her sweet one with peanut butter. Too gooey. Who knew? Peanut butter is a gooey substance.
Did you know my uncle had told my nephew, not my nephew, my cousin, that peanut butter is made by feeding monkeys and then you pull their tail and that's what comes out at the bottom. So he didn't eat peanut butter for like years and would like get physically sick watching my sister and I eat peanut butter.
The more you know. So, Dan,
I'll just, so anyone knows, that's not how peanut butter's made.
Thank you for that. We all know the peanut butter fairy comes down and no. So
dances the town teller on peanuts.
Mr. Peanut comes out of the sky. No. Okay, so Dan, it was so hard that Paul actually couldn't cut the damn thing. He's like hacking through it. And then Prue tasted it and went, "You taste that, Dan." And Dan tasted like, it's light, it's fluffy.
And Sandy did point out that his face goes red when he's lying.
Yes. They said it was more bread than some, and they showed you the side, and it did look like a loaf of bread wrapped around. They said it was a bit like leather. The filling was nice, which that was kind of them, but.
And John's popped in and gone, "Oh, that looks like the sandwich I bought for my wife on her first date."
I went down to Subway and I bought something like that.
Eat fresh.
Speaking of John, his romantic dinner didn't go quite well because much like a romantic dinner could possibly go, it was okay in some parts and it was a bit soggy in others.
But, he's ready for Valentine's Day.
Exactly, as I said. It can go really well at some times. It's a bit soggy the rest of the time. It doesn't go so as well.
Oh, my God, that's tomorrow. I don't have my puns ready for you. Is it tomorrow? No. It's the 14th, Thursday.
You can tell we focus on Valentine. We don't do it.
Because it's Christmas next week.
Yes. Remember, next week, of course.
Oh, my God.
Next week, of course, is our Christmas episode.
It is. Oh, my God. This is great.
And not to give it away yet, but God, don't we have a surprise, a present for you?
Really?
No, what the week is for next week.
Oh, no. Oh,
we're not going to tell them yet. We're not going to tell everyone yet. We're going to keep that powder dry. End of the episode.
Okay.
The chicken was delicious and the orange was quite good on John's, though, they said, even though it was a bit soggy. Kim Joy, they said the pastry was really light and beautiful. However, Paul looked at her and went, "I think you're missing something." She's like, "Has it got enough chili?" And he just looked and went, "No."
He's like, "That would help."
Yeah, that would help. The apple one was lovely, however. Manon, the pastry again was a little bit thick. Also, she put a lot of potato in there, so there was a mountain of starch.
Fiddle-dee-dee potatoes.
Which just took everything.
But the Irish contingent were very happy.
They were thrilled with it.
Yeah.
The sweet one was a bit too dry, as we said, and they had a sauce to dip it in, and the sauce was too thick. So the sauce was too thick, there was too dry in one. Manon had a night like this too in her what's Poppy Eaton showstopper, which we'll get to at the end. She both managed to undercook the pastry and overcook the fish.
But I think as we've worked out, it's Paul Hollywood going around drying out everything.
Yeah, it's Paul's fault.
Now, one thing I did notice with Manon's is that she'd stuck some samosas on sticks. Now, I wonder if that's the tartatan ones with the apple inside, and I wonder if she intended to dip them whole into the caramel, like caramel...
Toffee apples.
Like toffee apples. Or as the fucking Americans say, caramel apples.
Toffee apples. Rahul. Actually, we'll come back to Rahul. We'll do Rahul last because I want to have the conversation. So rubies, they said they were beautiful, they were crispy, they were overloaded with the spice, but in a good way. Sweet one had amazing orange and almond and date, and she got the handshake, and Paul wanted the chutney recipe.
Yep, she was all 5 Spice Girls this week.
She was all of them.
Even though Kim Joy was a Spice Girl of last week,
she was indeed.
Dropped the spice ball.
And Rahul. The pattern was pretty, but he handed his bake over and he just looked a mess.
Yep.
And Prue looked at him and was like, if I tell you that it's lovely now, will you smile?
Yeah.
And then nearly gives him a hug and then looks at Paul and goes, and if Paul doesn't give you a handshake, I'll kill him. At which point Paul gave him a handshake. Now, we need to talk a little bit about Rahul. Now, before anybody worries, we're not about to smash Rahul at all.
No, we think he's awesome.
There's a bit of an issue because he's amazing. He is an amazing baker, and he's doing very well. And there's obviously been a lot in his life where he hasn't been told that he's good, and he's struggling with that. And so he seems to think that everything he does is horrible.
Yeah.
But I can also understand from an audience perspective where that can get a little bit grating because it's now every week when he presents something.
Yeah.
And I wonder if the judges are also feeling a bit of pressure too in terms of giving him feedback, and if it's negative feedback, how is that going to go?
Yeah, it comes into it like...
Not that I think they're holding back because he does make amazing things.
He's doing
But
awesomely.
I wonder if that's playing into a mindset.
I think what we're all waiting for is for him to jump on Team Rahul as well. You know, we're all on Team Rahul, and it's like all things. It's like there comes a time where you just want to see them bloom and step into their power.
Yeah, it's a tricky one because he's not putting it on. It's definitely not put on. And it's not an act.
He's not
milking it, but it also, I can understand from a viewer's point of view where Rahul would possibly start to grate on some people because it's every single bake. He presents something, bursts into tears and worries it's not good enough.
Yeah.
But that's obviously, again, that's past. That's things that have happened to him. That's obviously a learned behaviour almost. And I mean, hopefully the show helps him work through that a bit. I mean, hopefully it does, and he makes amazing things.
His English mummy Noel,
English mummy Noel can help him out. You know what English mummy Noel could do?
What?
Very, very plausible idea for English mummy Noel if English mummy Noel feels like Rahul needs a bit of support.
I reckon English mummy Noel could go and source a subscription for him to
Australian Sugarcraft magazine. You know that this is the time, right? Right now, this very second. Pause the actually, don't pause the podcast. After the podcast, so listen to us.
You can do both. Open. Oh, what?
No. I don't want them to get distracted from our mirth.
Okay.
Right? Because if they start seeing the beautiful high colour photos...
Oh, true. They won't be back.
They're not coming back to us. They're going to be lost in Sugarcraft.
So after you listen to this, you've got a whole week to the next podcast.
Once you're done. So you're going to need something to fill that time. And what better time than, after this, to subscribe. It is really cheap. It is $19.90.
For a year's subscription.
And that is 2 issues per year, high colour photos, recipes, tips, ideas, all sorts of ideas that you could possibly use.
Centerfolds with naughty bakes.
Exactly.
Like Lovewells.
Lots of Lovewell naughty bakes right there. You can see stiff peaks. Note, may not see stiff peaks. You could see stiff peaks.
Wibbly creamy creme pat.
Wibbly creamy creme pat. Pointy sugar domes.
Just like sexy, luscious fondant.
You want something a bit hot? Well, not too hot because the sugar will melt and then the sugar work will kind of fall apart. But you want something that's hot followed by rapid cooling? then you need Australian Sugarcraft magazine.
Yes, you do.
What you need to do is to go to facebook.com/Australian Sugarcraft. That is facebook.com/Australian Sugarcraft.
Get yourself some sexy
sugar work right now.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, again, after this. So we get to the Well of Love. I'm not even going to try the pronunciation.
It's like...
But what was great about...
Je m'appelle Well.
Je m'appelle Well. No, it's Pythagoras. I think it is.
Yeah.
I thought originally they were saying Pythagoras, and I thought they were talking about Rose Hancock Porteous's house at one point.
Better than Purdue of More, because that's like, I don't know, like lost hope. Like things that are lost.
I told you, the limit of my French is Le Clefs on a bureau.
I looked it up, because I was like, okay, where did this come from? I thought, because they said, it looks like lady bits. But when it was originally invented, it was supposed to look like a bucket for a well. So that's where
literally a well. Yeah, exactly.
Like literally a well.
Now,
and then guess what happened? Obviously, some kings, like, I don't know, Louis XV, have a bit of a mind like mine and just like... This is like a lady bit. This looks like a vagina. Now, I mean, I think once you dig under the creme pat, it's more like a vagina.
Is that in general in life, or?
Oh, now we've got an extra layer to add to the vagina, like chocolate
creme pat.
No. So you do remember, like a couple of weeks ago I was talking about.
Yeah, so I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you throw in like the well of love inside.
Yeah, but do you really want the creme pat? Because that's going to make it.
It's like vagina on vagina on vagina. It's like a lesbian gender reveal then.
It's a triple stack vagina.
Yes.
Anyway, so Manon, you would think, would go, yes, my people. French, not the triple stack vagina. But Manon looked more confused than anybody. They said it, and she looked around, and everyone looked at her, and she's like, no.
She was the Ruby in this challenge. Ruby's like, I'm Indian, I should know this, but I don't. And Manon's like, I'm French, I should know this, but I don't.
And of course, this then opens up the possibility of everyone to drink again on the game card, because, my God, we had some hits tonight. Wait till we get to John. So what I liked about this was it had a multitude of elements. You had the rough puff.
Yep.
You had the shoe.
Sure.
You had the compote. And you had the creme patisserie.
Yeah.
Patissier. Sorry, I always say that wrong. So you had 4 different elements you had to nail.
Yes.
To get absolutely spot on.
You had to nail the well of love.
You had to nail the well of love. And what I liked about the well of love was the first thing that happened in the challenge about the well of love was Noel trying to pair Manon up with British gentlemen.
I know.
Noel is Manon's dating service.
He's like OK Cupid, but like Noel. He's like Mighty Boosh Cupid.
So Noel's there going, well, you're planning on staying because you didn't really know what this was. Are you more British now? And she's like, if I can find myself an English husband. He goes, are you looking? I'm not looking anymore. I mean, it just doesn't seem to be going well. I get the feeling you'll be getting some letters.
I'd like to think that people are now writing into Channel 4.
I like the idea. I like the idea.
Handwritten.
I like the
no emails.
I like the idea of the. Okay, not to project forward, but let's do that, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
The sort of gentleman watching the Great British Bake Off.
Yeah.
Single, looking for love.
Yeah.
I'm suggesting more a widower crowd.
That is like not even stereotyping. That's just grasping at like
accuracy is what it's grasping at. Single gentleman I'm talking about.
Who would be watching
Single
this?
Gentleman, maybe out there looking for love.
The majority of single gentlemen who I know watch Bake Off are gay.
That's what I'm saying. I'm talking about. So I'm talking to you about viable options for Manon.
All right.
Now, single, available gentleman, looking for love, looking for long-term commitment. I think I'm right. The widowers.
The widower set.
The widower set. Manon, queen of the widower set. So I don't think it's really the refuge of the young straight male. I mean, Channel 4 has many programs that might do that. 8 out of 10 Cats could draw people in there. All of those sorts of shows could draw people in there. Sandy is on another show.
It might be a friend of a viewer. It could be a friend or a fucking like brother or cousin or something of a viewer that they go, "Is this awesome French woman? Oh, you just got to see."
By and large,
yeah, I'd like to eat her patisseries, and I want you to marry her.
By and large,
yeah,
it's the widower set. I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. It's the widower sitting around, looking at cakes being made,
weeping into their tarts, watching Bake Off, mourning their lost loves.
but seeing future loves.
Manon.
in a French woman who's more British than French.
She's French, but just the right amount.
Just the right amount, so the racism doesn't show. Just covers up that hatred of the French just enough. She's just exotic enough. But not knowing what regional French bakes are. Don't kill yourself. Don't kill yourself. And we moved from that to a far more disturbing scene than widowers lusting after Manon, which is John drinking raw egg whites.
Oh my God. It's like Rocky. No. It's like getting salmonella, John.
It's like a Welshman breaking every OH&S rule in a kitchen.
Here's the difference, and I'm pretty sure Britain is like Australia where we don't, like, is it pasteurise our eggs? You know how, like, the fucking Americans zap their eggs and kill the bacteria? We don't do that. So in America, go ahead. Drink your egg whites by all means. In Australia and the UK, I presume, not such a good idea.
Just with the spate of outbreaks of disease involving British farms in the last 20 years, I wouldn't be going near any raw produce.
No, did you know there's a warning in Australia not to kiss or cuddle your chickens? Because 40% of people who've gone to the doctor...
Wait, pause. I need to... Okay.
Yeah.
The fact that there is a warning.
There is.
Telling you don't kiss your chickens.
I don't have chickens to kiss.
Are you talking about Max Walker? Is this another Max Walker book? How to hug and kiss your chicken?
Probably, but...
How to puzzle a python?
It's more these people who, get chickens so they can have fresh eggs at home.
And a bit of love on the side. Is this the Manon set?
No.
Is this someone at home with a chicken, cuddling and kissing the chicken and sees Manon and goes, humans are much better?
I am pretty sure we've seen this on South Park. But apparently 40% of people who went and reported that they've contracted salmonella had hugged or kissed their chicken.
Manon, don't answer those letters. Now, Dan continued the run of bad decisions in this.
Oh, Dan.
We started by the fact that he suddenly decided after taking his shoe off the heat that it wasn't quite ready. And so he just put it back on the heat. That's not a good call. And that was then followed by his bad call later on.
To open the oven.
Yeah, he forgot to put the sugar on, so he opened the oven on the rough puff. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. And he didn't think about it till the judging when it got flat. And they tested it and he went, oh, that's right, I opened the oven.
Was it at this moment or was it in the late... No, it was this moment where he's gone and stared out the tent, having like... Oh, it's just... I can just see it on Extra Slice now that they've slow-moed that down and put some
music behind it. Now, I think instruction 10 is possibly my favourite instruction we've seen this series. Bake.
Yeah.
Bake. That was it. Literally, one word. Bake.
Yeah.
So it was make your shoe, make your rough puff, make you this, make you that, make you this, put it all together. Bake.
Should have at least said until golden brown, because some people just thought...
No, some people kept going.
Just went like,
some people freestyled. There was lots of freestyling in this episode. Freestyler.
Essex tan colour.
It was very The Only Way is Essex.
Yes.
Lots of The Only Way is Essex.
You pull the shoe out and it starts going, I'm going to bejazzle myself with some sugar.
They put it on the creme pat.
Yeah. Put on the creme pat and just vajazzle it and then blowtorch it.
They go and got one of Ruby's gems she made later on for her crown and come back and just put it on the creme pat. Vajazzle. And by the way, if you ever want to hear someone say vajazzle, you want to go watch...
Listen to our podcast, apparently.
You want to go watch the episode of Nevermind the Buzzcocks with Noel Fielding making fun of the woman from The Only Way is Essex who was on the show, and him saying vajazzle, both the way she says it and then in a very posh vajazzle voice is wonderful. It's one of my favourite Noel Fielding moments, actually. Now, this is where you pointed out, these are just sweet vol au vents.
Yeah, essentially. Like, it's got it's got the choux pastry on the outside, but it's just vol au vent, really.
So, yeah, what you were saying or singing at the time was it's simply just a sweet vol au vent, bum, 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 creme patisserie in the middle.
Supposed to look like a vagina, sweet vol au vent.
Bum, bum, bum. Time for judging. Manon's was too dark. Not enough creme pat. I'm not doing the whole thing. John closer to the colour. Da, 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 da. Good compote on the bake now. I'm stopping because this is annoying too. Really annoying too. No. Kim Joy. You knew Kim Joy's didn't look right when Paul Hollywood's first word was They were painfully thin, but the flavour was really good.
Oh my God, I know what that fucking, that Pythagoras has kicked out of my head. There was a moment between Noel and fucking, I think it was someone else. And it was great. And
it's the Noel and Ruby moment is later on.
Maybe it was that.
It's usually the Noel and Ruby moment.
Yeah.
And I always save the Noel and Ruby moment.
That's what's been kicked out of my head because of that stupid mathematics.
The plus side, you know what Pythagoras' theorem is. So useful in life. I'm
not going to be standing on a fucking cliff looking at a sailboat wondering how far away it is.
You wait. Just you wait. You do a birthday swim. Just you wait till you're looking out and there's a boat and suddenly you're like, oh my God.
How far away is it?
Yeah.
I give no shits.
You will. I'll make sure. So Ruby's look cremated. It was very toey.
I was waiting for a priest to come over and do a little
last rites
service over it. Yeah.
Yep. And it was good because Paul then had one of my favourite sentences of the night. You can taste the burnt.
It's a new Skittles flavour.
Taste the burnt. Rahul's, they said, was a nice interpretation, which is a way of saying didn't look like it should. The creme pat was firm but good. Dan, okay. So continuing, the creme pat had split and the choux was raw.
It just was like everything he did tonight was like a wah, wah, wah.
And it's almost like the instructions and all the instructions that he had for all these bakes. It was like Charlie Brown.
Yeah. Although Ruby, when she first put on the choux, she's like 1 centimetre circle. She's like, oh my God, a 1 centimetre thick circle around. She's like,
yeah, now I get it. Bryonies were really neat with a nice shape and they were delicious. So in the judging of the technical,
Bryony's well of love was delicious. I'm sure her husband can vouch for that.
He'd be very happy. So Ruby was 7th on this one with her cremated ones, beating Dan's, who was raw. Kim Joy's was 5th, Manon's was 4th, Rahul was 3rd, John was 2nd, which meant that Bryony was 1st. And at that point, Bryony was genuinely thrilled.
Yes.
Because she's had a bad time of it.
Yeah.
And I think everyone was a bit surprised. And at one point during this, you get the comment from Prue where she looks at Bryony and goes, was doing the judging, and this she goes, you're a real dark horse, aren't you?
Yeah, I think Bryony just needed to find her steps, like her kind of not steps, what's that thing called? Her stride.
And she did.
She did tonight.
So
awesome.
Now, like Ruby, then they cut. Everyone else is like, "Oh, I need to do this. This went badly. This went really well." And they cut back to Ruby. She's like, "I can make them. I can. I eschew you." But she was. Even outside of the eschew you pun, she was desperately trying to convince us that I know what I'm doing. I really do. I really, really do. That takes us to the showstopper. Now, the showstopper was a banquet pie, Tudor themed. We've done Tudor themed pies before. The difference was they were in moulds, if you remember correctly, in Tudor week. This time they had to be hand-shaped.
Yep, there was
no moulds allowed. Now, Paul said they were looking for a designed ornate pie, and Prue made the comment that the juices will leak out. That's what she said.
Look, in some instances, a wet pie is what you're after, but not when you're trying to create a Tudor pie.
Just stick your finger in there and see how wet it is. But the problem actually, you know what the problem was, and it was pointed out by Austenite tonight. Pointed it out actually. The innuendos.
Yeah.
Was so dialed back tonight.
Oh,
and there was so many comments about everything being wet and sloppy and, you know.
Yeah.
There was lots of poking and prodding and there was no innuendo whatsoever.
I mean, there was like inferences to soggy bottoms, but nothing said.
Nothing major.
Oh.
I wonder if Mary Berry owns a trademark.
She probably does.
Maybe. Everyone else on the show was talking about it.
It could be tied up in court at the moment.
But everyone else on the show was talking about it. The judges were the only ones not doing it. Like, the bakers were talking about it.
Maybe it's a bit of a sore point. She said, fine, you can take the show, but you can't have my soggy
You can
bottom.
take my show, but you'll never have my soggy bottom. And she rode off on the back of a shoe unicorn. So Bryony
swigging rum. There's 2 bottles of fucking alcohol in either hand. Downing some Kirsch.
I wonder if you're contractually obligated if you're the female judge to have a drinking problem.
I don't think it's a problem. I think
they enjoy it greatly. No one's having a problem. So Bryony went with Alice in Wonderland as a theme, and it wasn't just the Mad Hatter's hat. She was also had the dress was Alice in Wonderland. The earrings were the Alice in Wonderland ones as well.
They were little heart cards.
Now, the design looked amazing, and then she was filling it with game, and in particular, venison.
Bambi.
So, as was pointed out, you're putting Bambi in Alice in Wonderland. I don't know if I trust that now.
Look, quite frankly, it's probably more likely Bambi's mum.
Yeah, we know.
And, you know...
Spoiler alert, everybody, but Bambi's mum
dies. Look, Bambi is, like, just such a shit Disney... okay, from a ethical standpoint, I'm against Disney films. Like, I just... think that there's a lot more kids can be engaging in.
My favourite one of Walt Disney's films was Nazi Superman or Our Superiors. Never released. It was just for Walt's viewing.
But then I'm pretty sure they did Bed Knobs and Broomsticks, which was
they did.
So
which is awesome.
So you know what I mean? Like you have to give it to him. Like there's just certain films that are shit.
Well, they had to give it to Bambi's mother. Apparently, right between the eyes. That's going to make me so popular with the audience. I just made a joke about shooting Bambi's mother.
Don't worry, I'll still fawn over you.
Something. I mean, I see what you mean. My problem with Bambi as a movie is it is so emotionally manipulative.
Oh, it's like The Lion King.
Like a controversial statement coming up here from me. I don't know if you're going to go with it. I don't like The Lion King.
No.
I'm not a fan of it.
No.
I'm not. My favourite Disney movie is Aladdin.
Oh, yeah, Genie. Like
and
Robin
literally
Williams.
it's because Robin Williams is there.
But even then, I only like the Genie. The rest of the movie can go fuck itself.
The rest of the movie sucks. Like, when they're doing A Whole New World, I'm just like, where's the Genie? I'm literally, when A Whole New World's going on, I'm like, where's the Genie?
I'm like, why aren't they swatting away bugs? I mean, it's a fucking rug.
But what I will say, I like Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, that's good.
It was really well done.
You know, I loved Fantasia. Growing up watching Fantasia.
Fantasia's brilliant, but the Cheshire Cat was always my favourite character. Yeah. And my favourite part of Alice in Wonderland is the Walrus and the Carpenter.
Oh, yes, the Walrus and the Carpenter.
I love the Walrus and the Carpenter. To be fair, I love the original Lewis Carroll. Yeah. I love the original Lewis Carroll, the Walrus and the Carpenter, but I love the Walrus and the Carpenter, and I mean, you might like it because of the ending of it with the little oysters.
Yeah,
they've been eaten, everyone. But you know what else was going to be eaten, everyone? The Mad Hatter's hat, because it looked amazing and it looked incredible, and we'll come back to it in a minute. You know what didn't look amazing, regardless of what everyone tried to say?
Dan's fish.
Dan's salmon. So I got the feeling tonight, and we'll get into it a bit more as it fails.
It looks more like a flathead.
Yeah, well, there was a couple of things that looked like, none of which was a salmon. But I got the feeling all night that as the bake just failed more and more, people were getting nicer and nicer to Dan trying to soften and cushion the blow.
Yeah, we all know
Dan's comment at the end of the night was, well, that's hardly a revelation.
It really was the ending of Toy Story 3. You know, like
see it coming from a mile off.
Slowly heading towards the fire and all the friends grab hands. It's like
so
what I worry about is like with all that silver stuff on top, like it's going to be looking like you've been pashing the Tin Man.
More importantly, I can't remember who used it, but did you see the use of gold leaf?
Oh, it was everywhere.
It was gold leaf everywhere.
No, it was gold paint.
I almost thought that Rochelle was there.
Ruby did it. I think Kim Joy had some.
Kim Joy had definitely had some on her amazing mermaid.
Yeah. Oh, we have to talk about that.
So we're up to it. So Kim Joy made a mermaid. It was beetroot, butternut squash, and feta.
Now she named it, which I do find a little like disturbing because
you're going to cut her open and eat
it's anthropomorphic, so it's like half animal. And this is what I'm thinking. Right, like, do you then? Because in our drinking game card, there was like drink if there's like a fish, like not a fish, an animal thing.
Half shot.
And so there's a butterfly, there's a dragon coming up. Is that a half shot because it's half animal?
It's a half shot.
Right,
but it doesn't really matter because John would cover everything. Although John would cover everything with a Welsh dragon. And at that point, look, there's a reason I leave that on the game card.
It's a guaranteed.
I'm even thinking, if
next year,
I'm kind of hoping that John makes the grand final. And the reason I'm hoping it, I don't want to ever take it off the game card. I mean, look, even if he doesn't make the grand final, I'm not taking it off the game card because I've just got this feeling that he's going to just stick his head in the shed and go in the tent and go, I'm Welsh. And it was great because they walked up and they're showing that they're getting the pastry ready, and Sandy looks at him and goes, "Please tell me it's something about Wales." And he's like, "As a matter of fact, it is." And he said it was a dragon, and if you look at it, it wasn't even fucking close.
It's a serpent.
Now we'll come back. It was a giant sausage roll is what it was.
There was no legs, and dragons have to have 4 legs because, yes, a dragon has to have 4 legs because I think a wyvern has 2. And wings.
Dragon has the 2 large back legs and the 2 smaller front ones and the wings.
Yeah.
Yep, that's
and
how
a wyvern has
we all know
2
this.
front legs, or 2 legs and wings.
Look, we're both Dovahkiin. And so we know how this works. Dova. But say what you want, but that shout just froze our cat. She'll fluoride eventually. It's on a timer. This also promoted. John was talking about his little mixer that he had, and it was my little chopper. At which point Sandy's gone, "I don't need to know about your little chopper, John."
Because wasn't there like a discussion about his big chopper?
Yeah, he was talking about his big chopper the other day, and then now it's his little chopper. Little chopper.
Yeah, I wonder if he takes his little chopper to Bristol.
And if you don't get that, I don't have time to explain it to you.
Boobs.
And the chopper will come to that. Don't.
Penis.
I was going to let them work it out, but well done. Rahul.
Yes.
Rahul was making a butterfly. Why?
Because why not?
Because nobody expects the butterfly. Simpsons quotes, people. Simpsons quotes.
I've got 3 butterflies tattooed on me.
You do have 3 butterflies tattooed on you. You're right. Now,
nicely, like not like a tramp stamp. Mine's on my boob. It's classy.
I like the idea that everyone at home was picturing Kristie with a tramp stamp.
Or like a fucking dolphin, like, diving around my navel. Haven't you seen those ones?
Haven't I seen your one?
No!
All right, so Rahul made a butterfly, which was full of lamb curry and rice. And the clever part about this, and Ruby did the same thing, was she did a chicken curry and rice as well. The idea was the rice would then soak up the moisture because the problem was always that it's going to be too liquidy.
Yeah.
Then we had the weirdest argument that I've seen this series: antennae versus tentacles. Now the answer, by the way, is antennae. Noel Fielding was right. Not a phrase you say that often, but Noel Fielding was right. And Rahul was calling them tentacles.
Yeah, but the size of that butterfly might indicate that this is like Cthulhu butterfly.
Manon needed the tentacles.
She did.
Because it just looked like a circle.
It's a circle of life.
Could have used some tentacles.
It did look like the octopus had been squished a bit.
But was Rahul's, maybe was he thinking of like a Japanese manga butterfly, and that's where the tentacles came into it? Make a butterfly. Make a butterfly. Took on Mecha Robert Smith. Mecha Smith. Robert Smith.
He comes to visit the tent. Hang out with his buddy Noel.
Likes baking. Asks Manon out on a date. Ruby made her pie again. It was inspired by the Raj.
I don't think he's a widower. He's not a widower.
Thank you, though. You've just agreed with me that the widower is the only person hitting on Manon. Victory. Now we got Noel and Ruby again, and this is where Noel and Ruby did curry tasting. And it was great because it's like Noel goes over and he's like, I've had some of Rahul's, I'll have some of yours now. And she goes, no, don't do that because, like, you've had his now. And she tastes it and he goes, it's very good. And she's like, yeah, but his will be better. I bloody well hate him. He's so good. Then we come back to poor Dan.
Yeah.
Now, everyone else had got theirs in the oven at this point, and Dan is just standing there looking at it going, not yet. Not yet. I'm going to make the perfect puff pastry. And everyone else is like, I'm a bit worried about it, but I don't want to tell him because I don't want to worry him.
It's like every good instinct Dan could possibly have just didn't exist this week.
He went with a reverse Summer of George.
Yes.
So for those who don't remember Seinfeld, the Summer of George, of course, is where George Costanza is suddenly successful at life by going against every instinct that he has. So every decision that George would make, do the opposite. Dan had the reverse Summer of George.
Oh, Dan.
So Manon made, we said, Poppy the octopus. She named it. Whiting and scallops inside. Not many tentacles, unfortunately. Then we had
teeny tiny tentacles.
Then we had Noel trying to.
They were Sandy-sized tentacles.
They really were. They were Sandy-sized.
They were even micro for Sandy.
Noel was trying to get Rahul to lighten up.
Yep.
Didn't work. So he started by asking him who his favourite baker was. I can't tell you that. And then Ruby is standing there with, I think it was Manon. And they're standing there, yeah, who's your favourite baker? I can't say, I'm not going to say that. I love them all. I love them like sisters. I can't do it. And then he's like, who's your favourite host? Who's your favourite host? And he's like, I can't say that either. He goes, oh, it's me. Me, is it? Me. I thought you would have said Sandy. And like, poor Rahul. He's so guarded. They tried everything. Didn't work.
Maybe next week.
Now, it was 45 minutes left.
Of sadness in the tent.
It was 45 minutes left, and Dan still didn't have anything in the oven. And he's rolling, going, I've got plenty of time, don't I? And they're like, 45 minutes left. And he's like, I've still got plenty of time. I'm only going to need half an hour to bake my pastry. No, you're really not. Everyone else had put in their decorations on, including one of my favourite decorations we've ever seen of Bryony reaching in and putting a game of croquet on top of...
Yes.
Which led later on in the judging to the moment where Prue goes, I'm going to do this now, and she hits it and goes, hey! And Paul goes, she missed everything. And then Noel went over to John's and they had the little flying saucer lollies.
We didn't have those in Australia.
Yeah, we did.
Did we?
We did have those. We still do. You can buy them. And Noel was right, because Noel had it go, now these are great, remember, because first it tastes like polystyrene. But then here comes the fizz.
And then he got it right by tearing it off and just pouring out the powder. I'm surprised he didn't do it in a line, you know.
It's very Noel. Noel does a lot of the I'll snort whiz fizz kind of person. Poppy then exploded.
What Poppy?
Poppy, go bang. And then Ruby she pulled hers out of the oven and was worried that it was too small, which led to a great exchange of, I know size doesn't matter, but, to which Sandy looked at her and went, you're so talking to the wrong person.
On 2 counts, because she's short and also cares not what size penises are, because has no interest in them.
Exactly. Well done.
Just thought I'd elaborate on that.
Add that in. Filled in the gaps for you, so to speak. Now...
Have I said the word penis enough this time?
Yes.
I don't think so.
I think so. Anyway, so... speaking of penis, the man who made a penis a few weeks ago, Dan, at the end of the challenge, Ruby walks over to his bench after he's sprayed his fish silver, much like he was tagging it like it was like a train. He says, I'm just going to do this now.
Train's butch.
I'm trying to work out if it was graffiti like a train or if it was like, you know, the silver fox going out on a date with Manon, doing the hair... and making sure it was all the one shade.
Rogaine.
Making sure it was the one shade. And Ruby walks over and goes, Dan, that looks so good. It's quite possibly the lie of the century.
Like I said, end of Toy Story happening right
Not
here.
happening. So Kim Joy's looked great. The dough was a little bit too thick and it was a little bit raw inside as a result, but the flavours worked. Ruby's, they said the colour and the decoration was excellent. The pastry was fantastic, and the rice helped that soggy bottom not happen.
Yep.
And the curry was delicious. Mm-hmm. So good for her. Like, she did save herself. She did a Karen.
She did.
She bailed herself out at the end with a really good bake. Rahul's, they said it looked amazing, but the inside was too wet, and the flavour was outstanding, though.
Yeah.
And Rahul also had a bit of a problem. He was trying to get her off the tray at one point, and one of the wings came off, so he had to, like, just push it back together.
Like every butterfly when it wakes up in the morning. Oh, my wings
Always
are a
the
bit
problem.
loose.
Always
Squish
the
it back
problem.
on.
That's what happens. I loved Prue's line to John. I think the dragon lost the fight.
And George came along.
And then there was a debate. Where are the wings? And he's like, not all dragons have to have wings, you know, Paul. Yeah, they do.
Otherwise, they're a serpent.
Prue instead just said it was a monster sausage roll.
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
Which Brandon Blake online turned around and went, I don't think there's anything wrong with things being a monster sausage roll.
But you know what?
Nice work, you homeowner, you.
You know, you go a bit more north of England, like, that's the bloody Loch Ness monster. He's not Welsh, he's Scottish.
But the Welsh dragon, look, and the other thing too, because he went with green, he looked sick. It didn't look good. It looked like what had happened is the dragon. No, what had happened is the dragon had lost its wings through an illness.
Oh no!
And it was
it's
lying.
The leper dragon.
It was leper, and it was lying, dying on the plate. It was a dying dragon suffering leprosy.
Oh my god! I stuck my foot in my mouth with my niece the other week.
Oh no!
I called because I bought her the Harry Potter book for Christmas, and I wanted to see if she'd started reading it. And she's gone, no, I'm reading the book about the man and the leper. And I'm like,
oh, that's right, yes.
Laughter. And there was silence on the other end. I'm like, oh, and Catherine's like, oh, it's a church book. And I'm like, oh, sorry, I forgot you're Catholic. All right.
It was the little baby Jesus growing up and talking to the leper.
Baby Jesus. Missing the whole thing where Jesus talked to dragons. Or
yes, exactly. Which is one of my favourite bits of QI is Stephen Fry talking about that missing bit of the young child Jesus talking to the dragon, and then it says, and the dragon was pleased and retired.
And obviously gave up, got leprosy.
And what we saw
lost its wings.
John clearly used that dragon because it wasn't an active dragon, it was a very passive dragon. Dan said it looked more monkfish. It's kind of accurate.
Because it's true.
They said it was completely raw. The pastry was completely raw. The flavour was lovely inside, but the pastry was absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
Manon, they said that you wouldn't really know what it was because you couldn't really see the tentacles. It was also on paper.
Yeah.
Because it stuck.
I think you find the French thing is on papier.
No paper. You and your accents.
Oui,
non. They said that it was still on the paper. It was soggy bottom. It was a little under. It was very salty, and it was very dry.
Well, it's an octopus.
I was about to say it had to be salty. Also, Kim Joy should have been salty because it was a fucking mermaid.
I've told you about the cunnilingus.
Yes, cunnilingus on a mermaid. Yes, but the pastry was over, but the fish was under. That's a skill.
Yep.
And briny. So the baking was really good. Paul had a reservation on the game inside.
Yeah.
They said
could have had a bit more sweet potato.
They said, however, that she got game. Held perfectly. It wasn't soggy. Yeah, sweet potato was the only thing. They said it needed more. And then at one point, Noel turned around because she had made the two drink me bottles, and Noel turns around and goes, "This is pure Prue right here, playing croquet and drinking." So, at the end of it, not surprisingly, Dan goes home.
Yeah.
And Bryony finally wins the Star Baker.
Ah, squid!
She's gone from the potentially just on the edge of the outhouse to the penthouse.
Yes.
Go, Bryony. It was really cool.
Penthouse.
Now, I've promised something else this week, so I have deliberately avoided reading up on the next week apart from what it is. I know what the weeks are, but I have deliberately avoided seeing the bakes.
You don't have to live with him for the next week.
Anyway, I deliberately avoid the bakes for a couple of reasons.
Birthday week.
I deliberately avoid the bakes for a couple of reasons. The first reason is I don't want to spoil the drinking game by actually knowing what's there, so I don't look. I create the drinking game. I literally look at it just before, to just pull back the curtain a little bit, I look at it just before we start recording because I copy the Matrix.
And then he goes to me, people will be getting drunk tonight.
Yeah, and then once I look at the Matrix, I tell Kristie how drunk everyone's getting. By the way, this week, I'm so sorry. But next week, If you thought that Free From Week on Australian Bake Off was my rant, prepare for Vegan Week.
How do you know it's Vegan Week?
Oh, they'll tell you. They'll fucking tell you. Okay, so I've kind of been expecting it. The reason I've been expecting it is ghee.
Why?
Because ghee's been fucking everywhere, and ghee is the substitute you use for butter in vegetarian cooking.
No, ghee is clarified butter.
That's the substitute.
It's not vegan.
No, but it's not vegan, but it's a substitute used in vegetarian cooking. Now, I know it's vegan week.
No, that makes no sense. It's still butter. It's still... Like, in vegetarian cooking, you can use any products from animals. I know you can,
but what I'm saying is that they tend to use more ghee than butter in vegetarian.
Why?
I know ghee is not vegan, but the fact that they've been using something a little bit more different and outside of the box means they're going somewhere a bit different with it. And they're
nothing to do with it.
That, in my mind, it does.
All right, then in your mind, keep it there.
I called there was a vegan week coming. Right? So we're going to see a lot of things that are green.
We're just going
I have no doubt. We're going to see things where everyone... I'll tell you now, one of the game cards for next week, one of the squares is going to be, this is a surprising flavour. Because everyone is going to try to convince you that the flavours are actually quite surprising and quite rich. Bullshit. Absolutely bullshit. The one thing I will say is that it's really going to be... It would be interesting with this for Australian because, of course, we all know that Australian Bake Off is sponsored by Devondale. And the last time they went with a dairy-free bake, they had to spend the next episode telling you how good butter was for like half the episode. It was like, so how does butter?
Yeah, and I
So
know
what are we gonna see?
There'll be lots of substitutes. You know, there'll be lots of binding agents and like nut milk. Butter.
This is Kim Joy's. This has got to be Kim Joy's week.
Yeah, there'll be lots of oil used, like vegetable oil used as a butter replacement, I guess.
Yeah. What's going to be used as the flavour replacement?
The salty tears.
Salty tears. But doesn't that technically come from a human, and therefore coming from an animal, you can't use it? You can't use salty tears in vegan cooking.
I am sure that if you have consent, that it would. That
hang on a minute. I'm gonna find out here.
Because person that wanted to make a breast milk cafe.
Hello, Google.
It's not.
G'day, Chris. What can I do for you?
Can you use salty tears in vegan cooking?
Here's a matching video.
No, I've got vegan California rolls. That's not what I wanted. That's not what I wanted at all. I wanted to know if you can use salty tears in vegan cooking. We'll find out during the week. I will ask a vegan because they'll tell me who they are. No problem. I won't have to struggle to find them.
We'll get them on Twitter.
I don't think you can use salty tears in vegan cooking. It's just a hunch. I don't know what the carob. We're going to see carob?
I don't know.
I feel like we're going to see everything I hate. Almond milk.
No, yeah, you'll see almond milk and soy milk. And
neither of those are milk.
Nut butter.
Nut butter's coming.
Dion's going to do very well.
Dion's going to come. Nut butter. Oh, I can't wait for nut butter.
Yeah, check out Sizzletown.
Yeah, check out Sizzletown podcast if you haven't already. It's fucking brilliant. We're going to see nut butter. We're going to see almond milk. We're going to see carob somewhere because you've just got to see carob somewhere. You're going to see... What else are we going to see? Goat's milk? No, we can't use that.
No, that's an animal.
Yeah, but you think salty tears are okay?
Yes, because the human can consent to the salty tears being produced.
What if the animal bows before you slaughter it?
Well, then technically a vegan...
Can I do a suckling pig if the pig goes, yeah, sure?
But then technically a vegan couldn't swallow their own saliva. And going down on someone is not... Like, they couldn't go down on a woman.
That's not eating. That's simply just enjoying for a moment.
Yeah, but... It's still imbibing the product of an animal, if that's what we're going to, like, start boiling down to.
Vegans out there. No, I'm not going to ask them what their sex life's like. That's weird.
Do you spit or swallow?
Oh, no, we've gone too far. Too far. Vale, hi, Mum. Hello to my mother who listens. Again, I'll tell her to come for the podcast just before the end. Once we say who's going home... Then Mum can cut the podcast off before you get to the spit or swallow lines.
Look, she has her other son cream me in front of her. It's fine.
You can explain that, please, because I'm not.
It's the first dinner around with Chris's family, and they made these delightful waffles for. It was waffles, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yes,
for
it was
dessert.
waffles.
And Andrew, Chris's
with
brother,
my waffle maker, yes.
Was shaking up the whipped cream can, and went to spurt it out, and it just went all on me. And I'm like,
everywhere.
Before I could like stop my face, I've gone.
We got podcast, Kristie.
I'm like, I didn't expect to come and get creamed by your brother tonight in front of your family.
Oh, how we laughed.
Something along those lines.
Oh, how we laughed.
And that's when I knew that they were good people. And it's still a running joke.
That's how you knew.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the disappointment and sadness. I wonder if much there is a vegan ingredient.
Look, Elena Duggan has opened my eyes to accessible eating in terms of, making sure food is available for all people of all persuasions. So I'm excited to see what it is. I'm not confident a lot of the bakes are going to go well because these aren't people who are vegan and who are, living this and practicing every day.
It just feels like Kim Joy's week.
Yeah, but there's a big difference between a vegetarian and a vegan.
And there's a couple of people I fear for. There's one in particular. I don't know how many vegans there are in Wales. John might be in trouble.
How many Welsh vegans?
John might be in a bit of trouble, and Manon could be in a bit of trouble because the French like to use a lot of very rich ingredients in their cooking. I mean, she's more British apparently, but still,
they need to use more billionaires in their cooking. That's what they need to do.
Yeah, well, I mean,
some Warren Buffett.
What could be really interesting though this week too, of course, for Manon, is that if she can make an impressive vegan meal, that's going to sweep some widower off his feet. The Manon Widowers Club.
It'll really open up the widows who she's.
the widowers are suddenly going.
The vegan widowers are
get yourself a woman who can make it vegan style. And on that note, we're out of here.
Yes.
So until next week, which is of course Vegan Week, I'm still Chris.
And I'm still Kristie.
We'll catch you all then.
Off with the head.